Okay, so a lot of people have been talking about ShyLily and also Silvervale as well in regards to some recent posts going down with their YouTube and their analytics essentially, and people being confused on why they are like that. Now, essentially this comes from a post from so-called Minairi, a vtuber, who essentially says, how come Silvervale and ShyLily upload regularly to YouTube but have literally zero movement in subscriber count? It's interesting that both have 0 plus minus subs since December 2025. Something is not right. And they obviously put two screenshots here of both their analytics over on Social Blade. And you can see here, yeah, of course, they've had a little bit of a flat line of subs in the past couple of months or so. And again, same thing here too. Now, this is for many reasons. Obviously, they say here, you know, they upload regularly to YouTube, have 0 movement and subscriber count. I do think there is a lot of different kind of factors that play into this, including if we look at the actual channels themselves, including ShyLily's channel here, you can see that they're actually not that consistent. You know, they say here that they consistently upload, or they say they upload regularly. But the problem is they don't upload consistently. I feel like that is at least the issue for me. You know, as someone who, you know, uploads to YouTube quite often, as you know, consistency is the key. And you can see here, it's a little bit random, you know, with ShyLily's schedule, which is fine for her. You know, if she wants to do that, that's totally fine, right? But you can see it goes like 7 days, 3 weeks, 1 month, 1 month, 2 months, 2 months, 3 months, 8 months. Like, that's a big gap, 3 to 8 months, right? And obviously she has her own reasons for this happening or whatever, but whenever you're this inconsistent with your uploads, YouTube will not push your content to people outside of your own viewer base, right? And it will take a hot minute, and you've got to be consistent again for them to start doing that. And that's why she's not gaining any more subs, because if your content isn't being pushed out to other people, right? If your content isn't being pushed out to new people outside of your subscriber base, well, yeah, you're not going to gain any subscribers because your subscribers are already subscribed. And obviously she has over 1 million subscribers over on YouTube. And yeah, that obviously means that, you know, about 67,000 people, you know, are going to be mainly subscribers, right? At least that's what the kind of explanation I can find is. And she used to be, you know, very consistent. She gets a lot of views back then as well. Obviously, you know, the Cinder stuff also kind of blew up a lot of the content. You know, she used to get hundreds of thousands. So that's where a lot of these subscribers have come from. But I think recently it's been a little bit less consistent, meaning that the views have suddenly dropped, right? And you can see where it's dropped, right? You can see it went from 800, 100, 200, 182, 158,000. And then she took that break for however many months, and you can see 54,000 views. That is whenever it started. That is the break. That is the cutoff point. That is what has caused this big drop in, you know, pushing it out to subscribers. And it's been like that ever since, and she hasn't really found that way to be consistent with it, which is, I said, you know, that's fine. It's just, you know, it's not going to grow you any further. That's the explanation behind it. Obviously, shorts are slightly different. They work on a different kind of algorithm. Now, again, you know, she doesn't really consistently upload shorts either. They do get a lot of views, but as I said, a lot of those people might already be subscribed as well, especially over the shorts, right? So again, it is very interesting to look at, right? And so a lot of people have been discussing this as well on the original post, saying, you know, they're not investing into it. The algorithm essentially feeds the content only to the subscribers, which obviously is true. I say my guess is they have to deal with Twitch or are comfortable where they are. If they were trying to maximize the business, they'd be on both platforms. The VTuber space limits themselves. So you might be right, though tough for Silver's case, multiple uploads a week doesn't look like you're investing to me, not investing to me, but assuming you're right, it still doesn't explain 0 movement. It's frozen for 0 for months. It's sus. And again, I don't really know. I don't know if it's sus because, again, you know, what would be sus is gaining a lot of subscribers and gaining a lot of views, right? That's the only sus thing to me. And maybe you could say, like, I guess, like, if you wanted to, because the only sus thing that would really happen would be like view botting, right? Or like subscriber botting. But even then, I don't see why that would be the case. To me, there is a very clear cutoff with the ShyLily one, where it essentially goes, you know, from 8 months ago, 8 months ago, 158,000 views to 54,000 views. That is the cutoff. That is what happened. That is what has caused this fall off, you know, for the channel, right? With Silvervale, though, let's just take a look at Silvervale's. Yeah, she seems to be uploading a little bit more consistently, but what you need to know is the content isn't consistent, right? I think this is also another big factor. So there's also, you know, the side of things of, you know, it isn't, so ShyLily isn't consistent in terms of just uploading. She does very similar content. You know, she plays games and then does like VTuber model stuff, and that's about it, right? That's mainly her content. Whereas silvervale, it's a little bit all over the place. That looks like an Arclight Zenfield sponsor, or maybe she actually played it, I don't know. And then also you got like, you know, random gamer subs announcement, random cover, playing World of Warcraft. You know, it's very, very random in the sense of what she does, right? It's a very, very big mix of games, you know, card unboxings, covers, dancing music videos, cover, you know, and again, it is very, very, very random in terms of the content that comes out. And as well, you know, it seems that they're trying to go for the more art style thumbnails, which I think, as a, you know, someone who doesn't have an established base on YouTube, I don't think it works as well, you know, just personally. But of course, that's what they're trying, because a lot of people do try that. So again, it might be due to the thumbnails and how the videos are actually packaged. And we got to remember, like, silvervale doesn't have as many subscribers as ShyLily, right? Although she uploads consistently, I think it is more so just due to the size of the VTuber as well. But again, I don't think there's anything really sus going on. I just think that the content isn't being pushed out once again, right? I think that a lot of this content, you know, people get confused, right? And I think the people that are watching this content, you know, the people that are watching these silvervale videos are silvervale fans, right? The people that are subscribed, the people that, you know, just want to watch her do anything, whether it's play games, you know, open cards, whatever, which obviously is the key audience that you really want. But I don't think it's being pushed out to anybody else, right? It's only being pushed out to the people that care about silvervale and everything that she does, rather than the people that care about World of Warcraft, or the people that care about V cards, or the people that care about Fallout New Vegas, or whatever, right? So again, it is honestly, I think, one of those things where it's not finding the right audience, which I think is, again, fine. I don't think that's suspicious. I just think that's just not very good channel management, right? And that's totally up to them, right? If they want to continue running their channel like that, that's totally fine. And as I said, you know, if they want to do that, cool, right? That's what they're doing. That's how they're doing it. But people saying that it's suspicious and whatever, I don't think it is. I think it is pretty normal, to be honest. And again, there's a lot of replies there saying this happens a lot. I've noticed, especially if your main channel and content is actually streaming on Twitch with YouTube secondary, so YouTube likely stop promoting them and push their channel out. So you'll see sub fall off, then gain. The doubt that sub fall off is shown in the graph, like here. So obviously, yeah, that is the sub fall off. Obviously, they're bringing out Cinder there, which again, yeah, it does show whenever subs do fall off. That's just minus subs. But again, I don't know if it shows, you know, people leaving as well. There could be the people leaving and joining, which is making it 0. I don't know. People saying past drama still hurts their numbers. The people who enjoy them already are watching. The people upset by what happened choose don't show me again, and that rejection makes them less likely to be shown to new viewers, which again, that could also be the case. Think if that were the case, it would still show up somehow, like with Cinder, for example. You can see while her numbers are frozen at 0, the graph is not, which again, I'm unsure what they mean by that, but yeah. So actually, I've been meaning to ask this for a while. Can YouTuber subscriber accounts be botted as well? Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, 100%. You can do that. But again, I don't think that would be the case. I think it's quite stupid to kind of buy YouTube subscribers, because if anything, it hurts your channel growth. Now, you know, maybe this is the sign that it is, but again, I don't think it would be, because it would just be a stupid decision to do that in the first place. Because as I said, you know, YouTube, how it works is it pushes it out to your subscribers first, you know, sees if they like it. If they like it a lot, they'll push it out to more people, and then of course it'll continue on. And if you buy subscribers, you're buying random subscribers, not, you know, people that want to know what your content is or whatever. You're buying bots, you're buying random people that have dead accounts or whatever that aren't going to watch the content, or maybe skip past it. And well, you know, that's not going to help out with your video reach, and it's going to get pushed down even further. People saying these comments are weird, like they can't fathom how at all how weird a 0 stagnation of a massive channel is. YouTube actively purges dead and bot accounts, so massive accounts will see micro drops. A 0 for a set time is sus, especially with all the view slash sub botting claims lately. Someone said, they said, finally, someone who gets what I'm saying. And again, I don't think the comments are weird, right? Again, maybe they've seen some other comments. I don't think these comments are weird. I think these comments are, you know, rooted in reality. They're saying that, hey, you know, sometimes their channel strategy isn't good enough and you don't gain subs. And that does happen even to big channels, right? You know, my channel, my main channel, obviously, is a lot bigger than this one in terms of sub count, right? And there was a time where I was gaining 0 subs, right? I was gaining 0 subs. I wasn't losing any, but I wasn't gaining any. And that's because I was just stagnating doing Wuthering Waves content and wasn't really doing much, right? Now it's obviously going up because I'm making different kind of content and it's all good. But that's because I changed my, changed my strategy, which obviously is something that maybe Silvervale and ShyLily aren't doing, which of course keeps them stagnated, right? And I think that is the kind of explanation behind it. So I don't know what you mean by regularly. Both average about 1 upload a month, so the algorithm does not recommend them much. They both rely on clippers for their shorts. When you're already making money elsewhere, YouTube income doesn't mean much. The weekly and bi-weekly or monthly uploads is regular as well. It's consistent. You might be right income-wise, but still doesn't explain how a million sub channel has 0 movement for months or uploads happened. Which, again, I just don't think, you know, that's the case. I say weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly uploads is regular. It is, but, you know, if you take a look, if you just have to take a step back, and look at some of the other channels on YouTube, right? You think about a lot of the channels that upload daily, right? For example, me, right? I get, my content is less edited. There's, it's more so just talking, all of this kind of stuff, right? If you look at someone, for example, I don't know, who uploads monthly? There's a couple, right? There's some out there who upload monthly, maybe, 2 weeks, whatever. They tend to have highly edited content with, and it tends to be something kind of, informational. It never tends to be like a gaming video or anything like that. Gaming videos are meant to be, these kind of VTuber content in general, to be honest, is meant to be this content that is kind of almost slopped out, not necessarily in the sense that no editing at all. It can have some like cool cuts and edits and images and whatever on it. But I definitely do think it's one that needs to be rapidly kind of put out rather than a monthly thing. People aren't going to wait monthly for this kind of content, right? People don't want to wait monthly. They will just watch it whenever it's up there. That is the kind of strategy behind this content. Doing it monthly won't work. That's just like pretty obvious. And there's so many like what do you call it, like documentary channels, or what's the word for it? I forgot what you call it, but those channels that essentially like give you information on something that has happened right over a long period of time, like Mugen, for example. I know a lot of people don't like Mugen at the moment due to the Sykkuno stuff, but he is a really good example of like he uploads like monthly, maybe a couple of weeks, but he puts a lot of effort into editing his content and making it presentable into one big package, right? And that is the kind of monthly content that people want to see, and people don't want to see monthly content of random gaming footage and stuff like that, right? So because they don't upload regularly, ShyLily uploads less than once a month and Silvervale less than once a week. The main way streamers do well on YouTube is if they upload multiple React videos a day. Intermittent content requires insane engagement to stay in the favor of the algo, which is true. They're 100% right there in the sense of, if there is reacts and stuff to go out, if they were to do that, maybe a couple a day, maybe even one a day, I think that would greatly benefit their channel way more than the content that they're doing at the moment, right? And they say this still doesn't explain how the 0 plus minus, especially for ShyLily with a 1 million sub channel and a clip posted 6 days ago. Weekly uploads is consistency as well, and this still doesn't explain how there's 0 movement since December 4 months ago. And again, I don't think this person is really taking into account what this person is saying. The reason why it's at 0, they're saying it still doesn't explain how there's a 0 count. It does explain it, actually, because they're saying that they don't upload regularly. It's not getting pushed out to the subscribers. Whenever it doesn't get pushed out to the subscribers, you don't get more subscribers because it's going to the subscribers, right? Does that make sense? Like, I just want to make that very, very clear, right? If you post content inconsistently, it doesn't get pushed to new people. Whenever it doesn't get pushed to new people, it goes to your subscribers, right? Your subscribers can't subscribe again. So you're going to gain 0 subscribers. And if it's doing that for months on end, then yes, you're going to gain 0 subscribers. But also, you're going to lose 0 subscribers too, because you're still uploading content for your subscribers. That's a lot of subscribers, but hopefully that made sense, right? Because I think a lot of people can't really understand this. I don't know why. Saying because the numbers, like YouTube, isn't sharing our content beyond people who already sub to her at 60k views in a male sub channel. So, and you think this explanation works for every clip posted in the last 4 months, soon 5? I doubt this explanation. Yeah, it does. Yeah, and this person says, yes, I think it's treating a main channel like a Clippers channel and having 7 full-length videos in 4 months with an average of 65k views means she's not having much traction outside of people who already subbed. What's your explanation? One video peaked at 122k views. I highly doubt every single video has not been shown to at least some type of unsubbed audience, especially with how the YouTube algo works pushing similar content. You'll come across her channel if you consume clips from ShyLily Clips, for example. Said, yet here we are. She had that video perform okay and didn't gain any new subs. So either YouTube made it impossible to sub to her, they didn't, or it was overwhelmingly only clicked on people who already subbed to her, which again is true, which is impossible as well, counting in how the algo works. So we're going in circles here. I don't think they're going in circles. They're explaining. They're saying, which I think is impossible. This is all based off of like at first I think it was like a genuine question that was asking what's going on, but it seems that they have a very clear not bias, but like a very clear explanation in their head that they want to get across. I don't think this is a question that they are asking people. Obviously they're saying how come, but it seems like they've already got this answer kind of made up in their head, and now they're just trying to argue with other people about it. But again, they're not going around in circles. They're just explaining to you exactly what they think. And you're saying, which I think is impossible as well, which you think personally. But again, sometimes what you think isn't always the right thing, right? As much as, a lot of people like to believe. Again, I think it is pretty ridiculous. Now, yeah, maybe there is something nefarious going on here. There could be 100%, maybe. But I think it is pretty understandable to understand it from, a lot of the people in the replies points, and obviously what I've brought up here. I think it is very, very understandable that, they've gained zero traction from any of their content because it's only being, suggested to, their own audience, right? And whenever you do that, you're not going to grow. And that's it, right? Some people were trying to say that VTubing was dying as a medium. I don't think it is. And they say, unlike Twitch, where you can bot viewers and gain traction illegitimately, that mostly does not work on YouTube. If you upload videos and it's only being clicked on by your audience, then you stop getting promoted because you have no traction. It's a loop of to them, which, yeah, obviously, yeah, it's true. But again, I think it's a pretty interesting situation. I think that at the end of the day, it just comes down to their content plans and how they've been doing their content recently. And you can definitely see where the cutoff point starts and, where the gained subs end for ShyLily, right? It definitely, like, the point where the subs fall off, and where she starts uploading again, there is a very, very clear difference. And of course, I think maybe some people can't really see that, right? But yeah, I mean, that is about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. So yeah.